maybe one of those signs that we're certainly in an interesting time. We're in a time where God forbid that these people be truly awakened and the church not be outspoken. But what's interesting right now is, especially in the comedic world, we're watching people who typically might find themselves considered liberal, or certainly people on the left, speak out about kind of some of the things that's happening. I don't know if you heard about Sarah Silverman and what she said just recently, but she's an incredibly coarse comic, so I didn't want to put her clip up. But she essentially said, we've got to stop it with the righteousness porn that consistently leaves no room for redemption. She's kind of talking about cancel culture and stuff, and just like how we love to stand up on our piety and our holier than thou stuff. And she's decrying people, not Christians anymore, right? Which we used to get accused of that a lot, but she's decrying people on the left for what she considers righteousness porn. And these guys are starting to speak out more and more and more. I never thought the words would come out of my mouth that I'm about to tell you, that Dave Chappelle, speaking out against abortion in his comedy special, I think it was Sticks and Stones, just absolutely blew my mind. So I want to give my audience an example of this, and perhaps you an example. I just love to hear what you have to say about even people far on the left starting to feel uncomfortable with the way in which our society is going. So I wanted to play this clip real quick from Bill Burr.
I don't know. I'll probably get canceled for doing that joke. You know, how stupid is that cancel thing? They're literally running out of people to cancel. They're going after dead people now. They're trying to cancel John Wayne. It's like, yeah, dude, God did that 40 years ago. They're all up in arms. They're like, did you hear what he said in that interview in Playboy in 1970? Can you believe that? It's like, yeah, he was born in 1907. That's what these people sounded like. You never talked to your grandparents and brought up the wrong subject, and all of a sudden it went off the rails. Like, oh, grandma, just keep making the cookies. Yeah, you don't bring up race or religion with your grandparents. You keep it simple. Plowing ahead. Let's talk white women here, shall we? Let's talk white women. White women, you're amazing your accomplishments over the last few years. I got to tell you, the way white women somehow hijack the woke movement. Generals around the world should be analyzing this. Just to refresh your memory, the woke movement was supposed to be about people of color not getting opportunities, the at-bats that they deserved, finally making that happen. And it was about that for about 8 seconds. And then somehow, white women swung their Gucci-booted feet over the fence of oppression and stuck themselves at the front of the line. I don't know how they did it. I've never heard so much complaining in my life from white women. My life is so hard with my SUV and my heated seats. You have no idea what it's like to be me.
All right, so I wanted to share that because if I could be totally honest, I think what you were doing all the way back in 2004 and some of the things that you were saying and the courage, at least, that you were displaying sounds a lot like some of these comedians that I hear present day. Now, perhaps there's far more rich history of social commentary and comedy than even I know and that I give it credit for. But I just find it incredibly interesting that these people who are not Christians and don't align with our values are starting to feel more and more uncomfortable and less at home in an America that's moving further and further to the left. So I wonder if you could just comment on that, but also too, maybe even going back to something that we just scratched the surface of, the role of comedy in being that medicine. Maybe that laughter is a medicine scripture verse has something to do with this, that it's a remedy for what's going on in our world.
Well, you know, Ricky Gervais, by the way, has been made a lot of comments against political correctness, and he's an atheist. He's a missionary for atheism, but he stands up against that nonsense, and he's done it on those when he's done these award shows. You know, he's been politically incorrect. Bill Burr is great at that. It's amazing that he's been able to pull this off under the culture that we have now. I didn't know Sarah Silverman said what she said, but she certainly is a good person to say that, because of, like you said, her style of comedy is so uh, uh, blue and whatever crass, that for her to say that is great. I guess it would be twofold sort of comment on those perspectives. And Bill Maher is now been pushing back against it. Bill Maher, another atheist. Why is it happening? Well, the first thing you have to remember, and this is what I teach. You got to understand something. Again, I didn't know this was how it was all going to pan out. I just thought I'd do comedy and make a living. And here I go. So now I'm in churches, right? And I'm performing all over the country. And more people are bringing me in because I don't just do comedy, but then I teach or I talk about the Frankfurt School and in cultural Marxism and what has happened to us. Or I talk about, what these ideas of multiculturalism as opposed to e pluribus unum and intersectionality and all these things. Now, why do I talk about it? First off, you won't ever hear me say liberal. Used to. Don't say it anymore. I say leftist. Not afraid of liberals. They let me speak. They let you speak. They disagreed, but everybody got a place at the table. Leftists don't do that. You don't speak. You think like me or we destroy you. That's Marxism. That's communism. That's atheism's buttressing of that because they have no morals, transcendent moral absolutes that they have to answer to. So when they talk about cancel culture, when we see this in the culture, when we see this idea of Me Too movements, all these pieces, I want you to understand why people are so passionate. It's their religion.
Yeah.
It isn't an idea.
Yes, sir.
It's not a substance. They have jettisoned God a long time ago. You are a human designed to worship God. If you take him out, you don't worship nothing. You find a counterfeit. You find an idol and you worship that. You have to worship.
Yeah, and just to interject really quick, this is history too. This is not just Brad Stine. This is history. When God is removed, the big G God, a little g is put in its place almost always, as you can see in history, and it's government.
Yeah, of course. Of course. You have to fix it. You're the one bigger than us. You're the one that has all the resources. You're the one that's watching over us. We don't know everything that's going on, but you do. I mean, it's simply an idol. It's Israelites, again, worshiping Baal, even though God got them through it. So that's the first thing you or your people that watch need to understand. You're fighting a religion, a religious spirit, and it's demonic. So it's going to be rough. It's going to be dark. It's going to be strong. It's going to be good. But the other thing is that comics, for the most part, weren't usually very religious. Not necessarily atheists, though more have come out that way because it's become the cool thing to do is to call yourself an atheist. But they used to be. When I was back in the clubs, not so much atheists as much as indifferent. They just didn't care. They just were really more hedonists, just going with whatever they felt like it. But suddenly our entire ability to have a job, to do what we're creatively designed to do as comics, is to use words. Yeah. Well, suddenly the words are being shackled. Suddenly words are being censored. Suddenly parameters are being set up. Suddenly fence posts are being erected around us. And all the free speech that we took for granted is beginning to dissipate.
Catch new episodes of Indie Thinker with Reed Uberman for free right now by going to YouTube or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Simply type Indie Thinker with Reed Uberman in the search bar and click on my face. Don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to stay informed when a new episode drops.